Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Meet and Greet of the Link family. Um, our Meet and Greet has been about discussions on lessons from history, particularly Bible history. The last one we had was 2 weeks ago, and we were discussing Jacob and his wives. It was quite a lengthy discussion, so we didn't get to talk about Jacob and his parenting or his parenting skills, Jacob as a parent. So that's what we are going to be discussing today, Jacob's parenting. I'm hoping that we've had some time to read through Genesis and see how Jacob was as a parent and what we can learn from that history so that we do not repeat any errors from history and so that we can take cognizance of the good things that he did. So I'm hoping we've all had a good week. How has our week been? Itoha, let's hear you.
Yeah, good evening, ma.
Good.
My week has been beautiful, thank God.
That's
Just
good.
that the sun here, the sun is scorching. In short, we have been sleeping outside till past 1, but it has been
Really?
fine, lovely, filled with exams. It has been a beautiful one altogether. Thank God.
All right. So thank God. That's good. Remy, how has your week been?
It's been fine. We thank God. Oh,
Has it been
God is
busy?
good.
Hallelujah.
Not too busy, but God is good.
That is great. That's great. AKD Sachs, before you think we are just talking to the women. AKD Sachs, how has your week been?
We thank God.
Okay.
We
Any
thank
other
God.
thing apart from thanking God?
Weekend is fine.
Okay.
Weekend is fine.
Good. Okay, so we'll just get started. Jesu Tofumi, I can see you. Welcome. I hear the internet network is not very good in Nigeria, but I'm hoping if you go out, you'll come back in. You still have time to encourage others to join the Zoom or to join us on YouTube. The YouTube is Temitope Present Child, and it's on already, so we can share it with others who want to join us. But if they are going to be wanting to ask questions, it's better they join the Zoom, so you can send them the link that's on the group. Okay, so we'll go straight to business. Yes, we had a great day. I had a quiet day though. It was good. All right. Okay. So I was looking through the life of Jacob. I saw some good things. I saw some not so good things. Um, Let me start with the good things that I saw about Jacob. Um, I saw that when his wife, most of his children were named by their mothers. Um, when Rachel was giving birth to Benjamin, she was having a difficult delivery. And so she named the child Ben Oni, which was a negative name. But Jacob renamed the child a positive name, which was Benjamin. So that was one of the areas in which he stepped up, took his place as the father of the child, and renamed his child in a positive light. So that was a good thing. There's also record that Jacob was one of the sons that buried his father, so it showed that he was a child that gave honor to his own father. Unfortunately, not all his children gave honor to him. And in some ways, I think he was a bit of a weak father. So the other thing that was good was the blessing that he blessed his children at the end of his life. So fathers should bless their children, not only at the end of their lives, but every day, as long as they have the opportunity. Those were some of the positives. Don't let me be the only one talking now. So I'll just leave the floor for other people to talk about what they think about Jacob's parenting, or what you think about what I've said. Anyone? Remy, Sukomi, AKD Sachs, Jesutofumi, what do you have to contribute on this topic? Let's hear you.
Pastor Sukomi has been suspiciously, weirdly quiet.
Oh, he
Even
went to
when I
pick his
greeted him.
daughter.
When I greeted.
He's a bit busy. Yeah, yeah. But he will be joining us, but he's in the background.
Yes, sorry, I'm just getting back in, but I want to transfer this to my computer, so I won't be doing it from the phone. So like give me 1 minute.
All right, Remy, let's hear your comments then.
Well, I'll mention what I started to say 2 weeks ago
Okay.
about how, well, everybody is human, but I guess in our walk with God, we should work on our own human foibles that are peculiar to us. God is interested in them, like Jacob clearly had a tendency to favoritism, and still sticking with that in spite of what has happened to him. He loved Rachel, ignored Leah, and then transferred that favoritism to the children of Rachel, right? He didn't even favor his children based on merit. If you even do it based on merit, it might be a bit better, even though it's still not good, right? He did it based on love, as in love of a wife. And it affected, the dynamics in their home. And for me, it's a lesson that, we are imperfect human beings. We come with our imperfections, and God is interested in us working on them. And ultimately, working on them improves our lives and our future generation. Like with Judah, when he did what he did with Tamara and didn't want to give her his third child, when he actually corrected that wrong, God honored it. So it's, for me, it's just, in these people's lives, they had, they had feelings that were peculiar to them or their personality. And God honored, the working on it, just like David, right? David obviously liked women. He married quite a number, not too much, maybe 5 or 6. But look at Solomon. Solomon now took it out of the
To the
park.
next level.
Next level. So I think, it's just a word of caution to us.
Yes, that sometimes things that we start might actually get bigger in the next generation. Yeah. I think we also should also remember that Jacob was the favored child by his mother. So the favoritism had started with
before, exactly.
continued in his
And Isaac favored Esau. Like,
yes.
maybe it was even a cultural thing. Who knows?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me also just teach you a few things about Jacob.
Okay.
Like sorry, Sister Remy, you were greeting me when I couldn't respond. So I'm
no,
here.
you're
I
fine.
say I'm not able to connect to my computer, but I would use this. So Jacob, let me just say that.
Where is
First
your
thing,
face?
Oh yes. Okay, let me.
We are missing your.
Okay. Yeah. So Jacob, like you said when you were starting, you said something about him standing up at a point. If there is anybody of the three patriarchs, yes, Isaac was very quiet in terms of what is recorded in the Bible. But Jacob, that was very, very frequent in most of the things he did. But if there's anything I can take from his life, it was not a stand-up dad.
No.
In so many occasions where you were expecting to stand up and take
charge.
This is not, it was a,
No.
and I don't think God would be able to say the same thing he said about Abraham, that I know Abraham, that he will command his children after him the will. I don't think God would be able to say the same for Jacob. And here is why I say so. First, I think in Genesis chapter 34, 35, I think it's 34, Dinah, or Dinah, I don't know how you call it, the only daughter that he had that was mentioned. The Bible says she went to see the daughters of the land, and she was raped. The son of the king of that area raped her. And when Jacob heard, the first thing is he was waiting. He didn't do anything.
For his sons to
he was waiting. Back. When the sons came back and they were, throwing,
furious.
He still was. And then those people took the loss into their hands, told us, okay, no problem. That's what you want. Go and circumcise all your people. And then 3 days after, went and killed everybody. And Jacob was like, hey, you people have killed me. These people will come and I'm very few,
He didn't even reprimand them.
He didn't
reprimand them for what they did.
Reuben slept with his concubine.
Yes.
Jacob did not say anything.
Until
Genesis 49, when he was going to bless them. That's when he said, you went on my pouch. I'm like, what kind of father is this? Yes, hold on.
She wants to contribute.
Charger, go and ask sister. So don't mind that. So it was like that. It was that kind of person who would not put his feet down for his children and who would not take the leadership role. I saw a little bit of that with David too, but today we're talking. I don't have it either. Go ask mom. Sorry, go ask your mommy upstairs. So that for me is one like a window into this kind of person we're looking at as touching his parenting style. One other thing that I actually love or would love to look at with his family is also still talking about the reason why we had Jacob at all. It was so that God will bring the seed. We should never forget that, because it is one way, sorry, let me close my mouth. It is one way that it would help us to be able to put the pieces where they belong. God wanted to bring Jesus. Okay, so it started with Abraham, and then with that, Isaac and Jacob came. So we will know that definitely the seed, the actual seed, had to be passed through one of his sons. And the fourth son, Judah, was going to be the one. But if you look at Judah, Judah himself, it was like devil really thought maybe this was going to be the person and was after him. It was after this dinner matter and everything that towards Genesis, okay, it was even after Joseph was sold. Maybe I should look at something with us. I love this because I think it would be easier for us to pick the lesson that we need to learn from it. And I'm going to be quiet so that other people can talk. But I know by the time I'm done, some of us would have things, and then people can speak to them. But I saw that after Joseph was sold, Bible says that Judah left his brothers and then went visited somewhere, got married, and Sister Remi mentioned a little bit about that part of Judah's life. But I don't want us to lose that drift. One, Joseph was favored above all his other brothers for two reasons. Sister Remy mentioned one of them. The second reason is because he was also a son of Jacob's old age. In fact, that was about the only reason that the Bible stated, that because he's a son of his old age, just like Benjamin too. But when they wanted to actually kill him, for you to raise children who had so much jealousy of their own brother, maybe our brother now, to the point that they were willing to kill him. They were willing to kill him. Of course, Reuben told them, because Bible says because he wanted to rescue him, but we know why he wanted to rescue him. So he said, let's throw him in a pit. But he was thinking that, okay, when they are all gone, he will take him and take him to his father. Already he was trying to buy his father's, he already slept with his father's wife. He knew the father knew and didn't say anything. So if I do that, he would make just something like that. But Judah, here again, spoke up. Judah said, after they had hit him, Judah said, why do you want to kill this boy? Let's sell him. Let's sell him. So it was Judah's idea that they should sell him. And they sold him. Eventually, when Joseph will be revealed to them, when they will know that he was Joseph, after he became prime minister in Egypt, and then they went the first time to ask them about their brother, and they were wondering, how did you know we even had a brother? In fact, they were almost fighting, and they were even telling themselves in front of Joseph that, you see, our evil had caught up with us. That day when he was crying and begging us, you see, we saw the sorrow, the anguish in his face, and yet we did what we did to him, you see. And Joseph they thought it was because he used an interpreter. And I love that about Joseph. He used an interpreter for them to not know he understood Hebrew. So he would say Egyptian language, and that person would interpret to them in Hebrew. So they thought this person didn't hear what we're saying. So they said all that. Joseph went inside, wept, and came back and told them, if you must see my face next time, you must bring your brother, the one you talked about, Benjamin. Now, Jacob refused for some years that he was not going to let Benjamin go. But when their food finished, again, Judah stepped up. First, before that, Reuben had spoken and said, look, take my two sons. If I do not bring him back, kill them. Jacob did not burn because, look at it. If you hear what Judah then said, Judah said, I'm going to be a shorty. He's not saying his children. He's not saying me, myself. You know, when they say that in a breakfast, the bacon and the egg is a description of involvement and commitment. One is involved. The chicken that contributed egg is just his egg. Is an involvement. But the pig, it was his life. He had to die for you to have the bacon. So in that sense, Reuben is ready to say, take my son and kill them. What about you? What about you? But Judah said, me, myself, I'll be a shorty for him. And of course, that also tells us essentially, you know, what the role Jesus is going to play in our life, and that coming from Judah. Many of us, sometimes, when we look at the story of the children of Jacob, we very much easily gravitate towards Joseph. Yes, Joseph was to preserve that lineage, but the seed is still with Judah. It's still with Judah. And you will see, if you look at what happened with the story of Jacob, look at Genesis chapter 37. Let me just read something. Genesis 37, verse 2. Look at what it says. This is the history of Jacob. Full stop. Joseph. I don't know if somebody is looking at it. Like, it says, this is the history of Jacob. Full stop. Then Joseph. Like, he was going to be talking about, I think it was about Joseph. But as soon as that chapter finishes, then we have chapter 38. Chapter 38 is like a misnomer in this story. I mean, you're talking about a big something, a man who had dream, sold. So what is going to happen next? Then we start talking about Judah. It is deliberate. Just for us to know that this is not about becoming a prime minister. It is about the seed, Jesus Christ coming, and it's still Judah that is going to bring Christ. I can keep quiet. Maybe one or two other things when other people have spoken about the story, the children, the parenting skill, and all of that of Jacob that we're looking at today.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. You have thrown many spanners in the works. Let's not say you have complicated things, but God will give all of us understanding. But you've encapsulated it as a whole, the way it should be. I never even saw it that way about why the story of Judah was right in the middle there, instead of being on its own somewhere else. So that's great. So who else wants to talk to us about Jacob and his parenting? Who else? Let's hear your comments. Let's hear your comments, please. Joy, let's hear you. You're usually very vocal. Let's hear you. What do you have to say about Jacob and his parenting?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Okay, so, well, Jacob was more of this dad that I feel like he was one of these dads that didn't really care until something significant happens to any of his children. That's when he begins to show himself as a dad. Yes, so I think the only child he really loved without any condition attached to it most times was Joseph, and I feel like he constantly puts his children in this position where they had to literally, even when they are going amiss, they had to literally want to in a way seek their father's approval or something. And because he was kind of I feel like he was making the other children look bad for him liking Joseph exclusively for no reason. So they wanted every way to make their father see them. So I feel like he made his children struggle for him to acknowledge them, which is not really something that is so nice. And then Jacob, well, in as much as he mourned Joseph, in as much as Joseph was not around for a very long time, he still rubbed this in the face of his children about like that Joseph was not alive, that Joseph is still his beloved. And so then in order to give expression to his love for a child, he passed it on so much to Benjamin that he wouldn't want to let Benjamin go. And I feel like that love that he gave Benjamin was, please, I stand corrected, is that it was trappy in a way that it probably did not allow Benjamin to do more than he could do. Like, it didn't allow Benjamin to probably explore other areas of himself, like or probably do exploits as Joseph, and even some of the other brothers, they had their own thing, even though some of it was in the negative and all that. So I think that's all I have to say about this parenting skill.
Thank you very much. So do we think that Joseph smothered Joseph and Benjamin with love? And what can we say about parents smothering their children? Do we think Jacob smothered them? I think it also had to do with them being the children of his favorite wife as well.
Yes. Yes, it had to do with that. Yes, it has to do with that. Well, Jacob was more like this. Jacob was carefree, like I said earlier, until something spectacular is happening to get his attention. So apparently, Rachel was the only person that ever got his attention, his uncanny attention, without any spectacular thing happening. So I think that should be something as to why he was smothering his children, because even I think after her demise and everything, he was still, in one way to still like live up the memory was to pour all the love on the children. However, I feel like Joseph earned his father's love, though, despite the natural love he Jacob gave to Joseph. Joseph earned the love still. He earned the love. However, for Benjamin, well,
How?
aside from
How?
last,
Joy,
I don't.
how?
Okay, how Joseph won the love of um
I'm trying to
yes.
think of it.
Okay, based on the fact that Joseph was quite dutiful. Okay, this is a child that Jacob naturally loved, no strings attached, and then the child is now not so the child is going to do extra things for the dad, being dutiful,
Mm,
not being malicious like the brothers are not painting their father's name black in town and all that. So that
mm,
one still now gave him more love, even when he had the opportunity to resent Joseph. I feel like those little acts that Joseph does, like telling the truth about what his brother does and all his brothers
yeah.
do, and all that thing, kind of made Jacob, even when he revealed the dream, not to even resent Joseph. He just, mildly rebuked him that, nah, well, your parents to worship
Mm,
you. I just see what you're saying as a kid. So I feel like that is like another that was like one thing that made Jacob to love him more. So, and then the absence of Joseph, we don't see any record of Benjamin doing. Benjamin was just literally doing his father's pets till he grew up.
mm.
So and he I feel like if Jacob were to be a good dad, he would have at least pushed the Benjamin to that didn't have the personality that Joseph had, the industrious, dutiful personality. He could have at least pushed Benjamin
Ben-
to have something for himself and not be. I think the only thing that really brought Benjamin out there, especially even the tribe of Benjamin, like it didn't even affected the lineage of Benjamin till date, like the docile of that thing.
Wait,
He
how
would
did
have.
it affect the lineage of Benjamin? Like, was the most prolific child. He had so many children at a young age.
yeah.
He had
So
many
I
children.
think, yeah, but from just in the light of what our dear sister Joy was saying, yes, very, 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 very true. I think that style of parenting that Jacob adopted, maybe not deliberately, just for his own kind of person, his nature. In fact, when you said he doesn't stand up until maybe something even when something bad happens, he's still
Oh,
very, very slow to do anything.
in
And
Nigeria, my is bad.
yeah, like just to buttress one of the things you said, yes, truly, Joseph, in a way, may have, in a way, earned the that trust, and then also warm himself into his father's heart by some of the things he also did. But again, I look at it this way: when you show love, and there isn't anything wrong in parents showing love, because again, there's an extreme where some of us parents might also be like, if I let the child know that I love him or love her, might misbehave. No, that also is an extreme. The Yorubas will say that if your child is beautiful, say it. It's not because you want to marry or make him but then it's true. But he did it, which is okay. But the problem here actually is that he didn't show the same affection to others, and it was obvious to all of the other children that this is the one I love more, even though he never said it. I mean, it was obvious. Bought him a coat of many
Coat of
colors
many
and all of that.
colors. Yeah.
And do you think the other brothers didn't have dreams? They had dreams. But Joseph was very confident because of the kind of love, protection, which is what every child should have at home, to walk up to their dad and say, I had this dream. And not that talk to the brothers too, I had this dream. It was that kind of peace that you will see at home, who can talk to anybody because he knows that no, I got my dad. Nobody can touch me, that kind of person. If a child has that growing up, I tell you, but just make sure you balance it. That if there are 5 of them at home, make sure you give it like that to all of them. You will see, you will bring up children who are ready to share with you the things they see, even whether they understand it or they don't understand it, they will share it with you freely. So that for me was the misgiving there. There's nothing wrong loving your child. And I would just mention this because I'm looking at it. Even though Joseph had that beautiful dream, the beginning or the first step to actualizing that dream was actually in service. He was just doing his normal thing. Maybe he was playing with his toy or doing whatever. He was 17. He was just playing. His brothers were in the farm or in the and the father called him, come, let me send you to your brothers so you are going to see their welfare. And he said, here I am. And then when he got to the place where they are supposed to be, Dothan, the Bible says a man found him because he was lost. His brother has moved to another place. I believe that was not just an ordinary man. I believe he has to either be an angel or maybe the pre-incarnate appearances of Jesus that we saw in the Bible. A man found him and said, I heard them talking about going to Shechem. And I'm wondering, are they shouting when they were talking about they were going moving to Shechem? How did the man get them? Anyway, the man found him where he was lost and told him they've gone to Shechem. And the Bible says, as he said, when the man asked him, he said, I seek my brothers. The way I look at that is, even though they wanted to kill him, he probably was laughing at his son, hey, innocent, unassuming boy. But again, if we seek love, if we seek the welfare of the brethren, there is no way. And you will see that thing went with Joseph, even in the prison. Some people had dreams and they were looking morose. How can you see people in prison who are looking morose? Why are you looking? Why you don't be laughing in the prison? That person, the kind of person Joseph was. Why are you looking like this way? What is the problem? We had a dream. And I said, okay, tell me your dream. And of course, so it just tells us that he's a boy who was brought up in a way that he doesn't write on his forehead what he's going through. He would, in spite of whatever is happening, still seek the welfare of the brethren. And that was the step that he took that ended him in the palace. If that day his father said, come and see your brother, he said, no, I'm not going to go and look at them because they will say I'm snitching on them. And he always snitched on them, It was the snitch in the house. But he still gladly took that errand and ran it. And yet it was the beginning, it was the first step he took to the palace, but he didn't look it. Of course. So, Jacob is not perfect. There can't be any perfect. I looked through the entire Bible. Maybe apart from, I didn't see any perfect parents. Not one. That's just so we know that what God is seeking is not what we call perfection. But more importantly, is a leadership in sincerity, a leadership with present-mindedness, not being there but not being there. Because again, it's one thing for a person to grow up in a home that is maybe single parent, and that some of them may even do better than some who had both. But if they are not doing what they are supposed to do, or they are leading the wrong direction, it will even be worse. It would be better to be an orphan than to have them at all. So it is not the perfection, but it is the just understanding that this is a trust from God to us, and we should make sure that we do it with am I being there? Let me keep quiet before.
I have something to say.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. I have something to say, but honestly, I actually had a genuine question about how did it affect Benjamin's lineage. Is there an answer?
I think your question is for Joy. I think Joy mentioned about
Okay,
them being
well,
laid back or something.
okay, well,
Yeah, Joy can respond to that, but I might just chip in something after Joy.
Okay, so the lineage of Benjamin, yes, Benjamin produced no, it's Joseph, that's Manasseh and his brother. Okay, so the lineage of Benjamin to me was not exactly yes, they were successful, they were given good blessings by Jacob and all that. However, in terms of they were very docile when it comes to the lineage was very, very docile when it comes to like playing a part in God's plan. And let's take note that the Israelites were very important. The entire 12 tribes were very important in the like plan of God for mankind as it regards spiritual stuff. So we don't see the tribe of Benjamin really coming forth. So I feel like that smothering kind of extended through the lineage, and that docileness and that um, babyish thing extended through the lineage. And I think the only time there was like this major um major role being played by Benjamin, please correct me if I'm wrong, was when King Saul was to be anointed. And so, and I feel like that stuff, as if they hide in the shadows of, or they hide in the shadow of others. Yes, they are in the shadow of other tribes in Israel. And and I feel like they it's just a deduction. Sorry, this is just like a deduction that I'm making, that I feel like you in a way that's inferior. To me, I feel like, because from the happenings in Saul's life and all that, they feel in a way inferior. That
I think we've
Is she
lost.
gone? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so I think I get the drift of what she has been saying, and it's like she just said now, it's a deduction. Sometimes we don't build a doctrine on some of the things that are not like very, very clear. But that statement may be right, and it may also not be. Because again, I'm just thinking through my head, and I'm thinking about it. A number of Benjamites who actually did significantly. Of course, Saul from that tribe. Saul.
sorry again. In Nigeria.
Oh, you're back. Yeah, your network. So do you want to pick it from where you left, or you want me to?
About the Saul thing, so I feel like that was like the major time they were really playing an active role in what the Israelites are actually supposed to do, like the tribes from the 12 tribes from Israel. So
But
that's
the
like,
Apostle Paul too was from that tribe.
okay, yes, I am aware of that. So
Okay.
I feel okay. It's not as if I'm not ruling out the tribe as totally being smothered and all that, and um has totally been smothered. I am just saying that I feel like that docileness that came about from the act of Jacob at that point kind of affected the lineage. Yeah, so I feel like they still saw themselves as the last born thing for a very long time. So, and it took somebody like Apostle Paul to correct the narrative about the tribe and all that. It's more like a cancellation of what so that it's more like a cancellation of what King Saul did when King Saul did that, in a way, kind of tarnished that. I feel it tarnished the tribe of Benjamin. So But in all, like you said, parents are not, no parent was actually perfect in the Bible. Like most times you see great parents, and permits me to use this word, and God abeg children, and then you see and great kids most times in the so then okay then so this whole thing now begs the question for me when I look at parenting in general, from my own observation of other parents, even my parents. So it's not possible for us to live in a house that the family that everybody is going to have favorites. And the thing is, it's not as if it's not the favorite thing might not be the way Joseph's own was like, oh, everything 100% favorite. So there are some things your parents will like about you that you'll be their favorite for, and they can't get it in the other child. So, and like you said, the parent is supposed to make the child understand. It's not like I don't like you for, but this is what this person is offering me that I like. And the other children too, whenever they offer what is making their parents see them as favorite at that point, yes, the other children too should understand that this is why my parent is seeing this person as favorite at this point. Because if we say that parents should love equally their children, I think it is an impossibility. Your parents is not God. Your parents are not God. So they are not the Almighty that can love everybody equally. So they depending on what you do, you earn a parent's love, and your person parts of your personality make them like you more at a particular time, and some parts of your personality might make them not be exactly um really interested in whatever you're doing. Yes. So because yeah, so because I think I aside from experiencing that firsthand, I have seen it in other families that I have been able to just observe even from afar. So I don't just want to give different examples because there's no time for that. So that's just my own conclusion on parenting, that you have favorite things in the child, and at that time when the child is displaying those favorite things, that child is your favorite. I mean, I think I'll be my dad. I was my dad's favorite child the day I did my convocation at masters, and he was so proud of me. So, and I'm sure the day my sister would graduate from school, or do our
Okay,
induction,
so
you
Sister
get.
Joy, can I ask you a question? Can I
Yes,
ask you?
sir.
So are
Yes, sir.
you maybe are you are you trying to differentiate? I don't know how to ask the question, so don't see it like I'm trying to
No problem.
yeah, love and like. I don't know if you
And like,
can measure love like that.
okay,
Maybe
like,
yes, as a parent, would you love your yes, you will love your children, but like I agree with you, you can, because you can't measure, you can't say love them equally. But I think we are going into something else if we are saying not equally, because love is not something that you can measure like that. But you prefer a child who makes you happy, who
Yeah.
does what you want, and may
yeah,
end up being your favorite. Like we talked about Rachel the other day. But would that mean that you love the others less? Is that what you're
okay.
saying?
Okay, well, yes, we want to love equally. We want to love equally. And what is actually equal love for a parent towards a child? Number one is accepting the child, however the child comes out from the womb, whatever personality the child has.
Right,
That is, and then
right.
providing basic things for the child. That is what I believe is equal love for parents. Now, when we
Right.
are now going on that, so when the child is doing what the parent wants, you're obeying your parents, and you're obeying your parents doing things. Obviously,
Yeah,
the
likely
measure
to
of love.
like that one more. Maybe not.
I don't.
I just want you to be careful using the word love more. I mean,
Say
and
okay.
I get it. I get it
No, I
because
my own opinion, my flat opinion on loving as a parent is, if I'm loving my children, I accept them the way they come out. I accept their differences like that. Then I watch their personality, study them, and guide them to make the best of their personality. Then I provide basic needs for them. That is my own definition of equal love as a parent. So when you are now doing the basic things you're supposed to do, the accept, and when you are doing it more for a particular child and you're not doing it for the other child, then that is where there is a problem with the basic definition of love as a parent.
Okay.
But for every other one, there is always a variable, but there are just some constant things that you cannot be, be biased about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you very much.
So my own, I think maybe my own final one, right, is from Genesis 37:11b, when Joseph told his father, when he had the second dream again about the sun, moon, and stars, and he told his brothers, and they hated him even more. And he told his father, and his father chastised him, but kept it in his heart. For me, the lesson there is to document, have a way of documenting what God says, even through our children. Because Jacob didn't exactly dismiss the dream, he kept it in his mind. But apparently with all the, events of life, vicissitudes of life, he forgot about it. When the sons came back to say, oh, Joseph had been killed, if it was still in his mind, he would have known that, oh, if God is saying that we will be bowing down to this boy, well, he can't be dead, And then when they came back again and said, oh, Judah stayed back. Oh, he wants Joseph, this Pharaoh's second in command wants Benjamin, he lived a life of sadness, like towards the end of his life, thinking first either one child was dead, the second one was gone, the other one going. If, he had, I don't know, found a way to keep what God has said, like the word of God in the Bible in his heart, and maybe meditated on it more, it would have changed his outlook to these things, and at least even created some kind of doubt that won't make him, sink into sorrow upon sorrow. So for me, I think the lesson is that the family that God gives us, our parents, our children, is like a unit, is a family unit that God talks through. God speaks to us, God speaks through our family members as well. And it's what they say, right, about God, or, I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to put into words what I'm trying to say. Like what we get from God from them is equally important, and will be very useful for us in our life.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's true. Some people might even call Jacob if he insists on what the dream and no, this dream is. They might call him being in denial. Oh, somebody stop. Oh, Mr. Akimola.
Dr. Akimola.
Dr. Akimola. Sorry, you want to say something? You can go ahead and say something. Okay.
I think he just said himself.
He didn't know he was not. Okay. So that he might just label him as being in denial of what has happened, but he would know that, no, I know these boys are this straight. Like I always say that one of the reasons why Abraham, who was not trained as a soldier, as it were, for him to jump into taking 318 trained servants of his own house and going to battle to rescue Lot, must have been because he knew that God said, I will have a child. I have not had one yet. I can't die. So daring death to his face.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's the point Sister Renu was making, the fact that if he really saw through with that dream, there would be, they brought the tunic with blood on it and all of that. It would be telling everybody, even though they might call him crazy, They will call him crazy. They will call him being in denial. And then when they told him, Joseph, your son is alive, he said he's gone. And he said he will not believe and all of that. He will say, this is what I've been telling you people all this while. But Bible says when he saw the chariots and all of that, his spirit became alive. I mean, so we all need that kind of I was going to use a Yoruba word, but I would just say that kind of pinpointing and having a kind of a laser beam focused or focus on what God has said to us, so that we will not be dissuaded by things that are contrary to what He has said. And it's very easy to do so if you're not careful.
To be swept by contrary wind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brother Sukomi. I wanted to look at the Genesis 49. It looks like Simeon was a lost tribe, because we don't really hear of the Simeonites, but we hear of the Levites. Some of the tribes, we don't hear very much about them. I think one of the tribes got lost along the way. Anybody concurring with that? My last point was that Jacob was a prophet to his children. Of course, there were things that he should have addressed earlier on when they happened that he didn't address, but he addressed them at the end of his life. So I think it's a good idea to address things earlier on, so that when the time comes for the blessing, one can actually bless the children and not curse them, because some of his blessings were curses for the children, although these curses were reversed in the time of Moses, I believe, when there was a blessing upon all of them. So that's my final comment. Does anyone else have a comment to make about the parenting of Jacob before we call it a night? Anybody? Mommy Aedo, do you have a comment? You're very quiet, ma. Let's hear.
Hello.
Hello, Tolu. Let's hear from you.
Hello. Let's see
Hi.
how's everybody. No, just
Everybody is
a
good.
short one really.
Thank you.
Regarding what we've talked about. I think for me personally, I just think parenting for each child we have would be different but fair. Based on their personality and how they are like. I have one child where I can just be like, if this person does something wrong, I can just, say, okay, really, I'm not happy you did this, or you shouldn't have done it this way, and just say it directly, and the person will be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way. But the other one, I sort of had to go sort of like, I expect more from you. I know you are better than that. And sort of just, go from that angle as opposed to don't do this. And so if we relate that to other things, they, on the other hand, might just think, oh, this person is being treated, better or more fairly than I am. And so it's just sort of carrying them along, really. Interestingly, I'm expecting one of our grandparents is coming around very soon. And my daughter and I were chatting, and she was like, oh, I think grandpa likes, the other person more than me. I was like, oh, why did you say that? That's quite interesting and all that. And honest to God, like 3 weeks ago, I actually was thinking about something. And I think unconsciously, sort of gives my son more gifts. I think it's obviously unconscious. I know he doesn't mean it. And he went talking on the phone in more intense talk. and my daughter is just a bit of whatever. I don't know whether it's, that man to man banter or whatever. But I just sort of offhandedly, just to think of preparing for him to come, and that happened. Exactly what my daughter said, I was, I don't really know, but when we talk on the phone with me, just blah, blah, with my brother, I talk to more and things like that. So again, it's sort of having that open conversation with them, and saying, oh, okay, this is why I do this. And so with both of them, I'm just like, look, I'm not treating this person better. It's because the way it works better for them. But you still get disciplined if you do something wrong. But just always having that open communication with them. And I always say, I do not like any of you better than the other one. Intentionally say every time, so that just in case I do something and they think, oh, just time you like this person more, I say every time, I love both of you equally, 50-50, no one more than that and all that. So you just sort of having that open conversation, but just putting that, in terms of that personality, I find that I have to treat them, a bit differently to be able to get the same results. That's my bit.
Thank you so much for that comment and for bringing it home to us. And now that you've mentioned that in particular about your daughter, if we were going back to Jacob's children, we see that, I don't know whether it's because Jacob didn't really have experience with daughters, or the fact that daughters were not really reckoned with in Judaic custom generally at that time, that she was left alone going to visit the ladies of the land. She apparently went alone by herself from the account, which was a bit unfortunate. And even though her brothers tried to defend her, we don't see anything about her father talking to her or offering any words of comfort. In fact, she was in the man's house till they went to drag her from there and killed all the men in Shechem. And at the end of Jacob's life, we don't see a blessing for her, even though she was one of his children. It's unfortunate that even in our day and time, girl children are treated differently than boy children, or are considered in a less favorable light, even though some other people go to the other extreme in which they treat their girls in a more favorable light compared to their boys. But I think the comments that Tolu has just made is very important about trying to maintain a stance of no favoritism and making it open to them to be able to talk about it if they feel different, if they feel treated differently in a home, encouraging open conversations. I think that's very important. So all children are gifts from God, and it's good that, especially we as children of God, reckon with that. We are prophets to our children. Let's take time to bless our children, stand up, take a stand when we need to take a stand, and not keep it for years later and things like that. Those are some of the takeaways from this session. So on that note, we'll be calling it a night if we don't have any other comments from the house. Anybody else? No, let's keep the comments till it's too late. Let's speak up while we can. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming for the meeting. It's been lovely to see you all. And thank you to those who have joined us on YouTube. It's an interesting discussion that we're having, lessons from history. Brother Sukomi, what's our next topic supposed to be? We are going through the Bible. Who is our next couple? I think we've gone through Genesis already.
Sorry, I'm actually doing some.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if we were asking about what would be the next one, we might be talking about looking at the parent of Moses.
Moses, yes.
Yeah.
Thinking so.
Even though, yeah, it should be like going in that order.
Yes.
Jochebed and what's the name? Amram.
Yeah. So that will be our next topic, Moses' parents, or Moses' parents, yes. So we'll be talking about them in our next session, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. Our meet and greet is every 2 weeks. And next week, we are going to have a meet and pray. And then the following week, we'll have another meet and greet, lessons from history. So God bless you all. Let's say our motto for the group. Who knows our motto for the group? Any hands up? Who is ready to say our motto for the group? I'm sure we should know it all by now.
I live in love.
I live in love.
I shine my light.
I stay in peace.
Sir, I stay in peace. I shine my
Shine my
light.
light.
I use
I
my
use my
power.
power. So help me.
So help me God.
All right, let's say it together one more time. I live in
I
love.
live in love.
I stay
I
in
stay in
peace.
peace.
I shine
I
my
shine my
light.
light.
I use
I
my
use
power.
my power.
So
So
help
help
me
me
God.
God.
Amen. God bless us all. Have a lovely weekend.